And we're back with Cawffee Talk again with Lauri Stern. Oh gosh, I almost said Lauri Crown. I'm like, crown chakra.
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
Sorry, no, it's not Lauri Crown, it's Lauri Stern. And we're talking about the crown chakra today, which is the 7th chakra. Yeah, cool. Let's launch right in.
Yeah, like all of a sudden I started singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider because we went from the bottom all the way to the top. Yeah, so here we are, right? The culmination of the whole shebang. And, the color for the chakra is white or violet. So, when we started back some weeks ago, I reminded everyone that the chakras, there's 7. It's Roy G. Biv, right? So the V is violet. Okay. But in some research, you'll see it might be colorless or white. Yeah. And it pretty much just is spiritual essence. So that, when you think about a crown, it sits on your head and it just sort of shoots up. Some places say that it's like a golden light too. So just whatever is light, that's really the essence of this. So how we sort of tap into this chakra is visualizing light and, light from above and in both directions, right? So you want to have, hello. Right? When I think about this chakra, I'm a little bit of a Star Trek geek or Star Wars geek. Nobody has to be afraid of that. Nothing to be shy about. So I think about like beam me up kind of Scotty, and it's just cool to think about those kinds of light rays washing over you from the top down or from the bottom up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the imbalance in this one is?
So the imbalance in this one is lack of spirituality, lack of connectedness to the universe. So we talked about this chakra, right? The Anjana chakra, how it's not necessarily a religious idea, but the idea that you really can see what we know for sure.
Hold on.
To
some trouble hearing you. Hang on. Say that part again. One more time.
So with the 6th chakra, the Anjana chakra,
right.
We begin to take those leaps of faith between what we see physically in our own eyes and what we can see beyond. Okay. And in this way, the crown chakra is the same, where we can't see what's above us. We don't really know what's happening above us, what sort of spiritual realm might exist. People might be into planetary realms or space, so you can just think about the vastness. And I know in some religions, they call it the vastness, whatever we cannot see is. Mm-hmm. So my teacher will say this beautiful image of, if you look around your house and you see what's plugged into the wall,
yeah,
you plug in something and it attaches to the current, the electricity.
Okay.
And we are humans, we vibrate, right? We all resonate with the vibration. And if we just simply sort of hold one of our hands in our lap or our heart, and it's the idea of just sort of reaching up to plug in to the other, right? So you have one hand in the ground and one hand to the sky. So you're always kind of plugged in to that magical vibration, the energy that you can tap into, whether it's a mental plugging in or a physical reaching up. Think about when you're saying hallelujah, your arms go up. Mm-hmm. So that's that's a natural innate thing we all do, like hooray and hurrah and lift me up. All of those things we do that we raise ourselves out of ourselves, beyond ourselves. It's hands up.
Yep.
So it's sort of like our DNA is wired to tap in to that. So which I think is kind of cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
It's a natural reaction to just go up with your hands and stuff.
Right. We lift our voice in song, we lift our spirits, where are we lifting it to? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about is the where are we lifting it to? We don't know.
Out there.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can say to God, to, a religious thing, and that might be the connection people are looking for. And like I said, together, it's also just enough to just say, I'm not it. I'm not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that there's more that I can connect to and with.
Right.
And I don't have to name it.
Right.
So I think that's where the white color comes into. When you think about the color white, is it a color?
Mm-hmm. Or is it every color?
Or is it every color? Exactly, right? The all-encompassing catch-all of everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the Sanskrit name for this chakra, the crown chakra, we call it, is Sahasrara. And it's the lotus with 1,000 petals.
What? Say it again.
Sahasrara.
Okay.
Sahasrara. Okay. So when I say it, I sound like Astro from the Jetsons, her reward.
Yeah.
And so that has to do with our spiritual identity. So again, it doesn't mean you need to name that identity, but the fact that you might want to consider, do you even have a spiritual identity beyond yourself, and that connection to spirit, and the idea that we are all connected. We talked last time about seeing somebody for the first time and then you start seeing them all the time, right? Or you hear a song for the first time and then you keep hearing the song.
Yeah.
And so the key, speaking of song, for the chakra is F, and the sound is ah, like ah, right? Which is kind of cool. And it's just when you are in balance with the chakra, you just got this peaceful ability to experience and feel joy just by being joyful, compassionate. You've got this strong life force surging through you. And so you think about how the imbalance can be someone who you encounter that you just see their light is dim. They're not lit from within. They're just dull. Their personality's dull. They're not necessarily attached to themselves or to anything else. It's not necessarily feeling like alone, but I think that loneliness must play a part in balance. I think loneliness happens when you're unable to reach out and know that you
Yeah, unable to connect with anything or anyone.
Be physically alone. Yeah. So disconnectedness is a really strong way that people can show their imbalance in this chakra. Learning disabilities can come into play. That mental fogginess we talked about, right? So these two chakras are very connected with the ways they manifest imbalance, and headaches, depression, things like that. Again, I know there's people out there, we're all depressed, we're all suffering, right, in our own way. So for those people who must seek medical attention, I hope and pray they get it. But those little moments of depression that we can move past, it's just sometimes a way to check in and say, why am I feeling so low? How can I raise myself up? And it might be you just sit quietly, one hand somewhere on your body and one hand just mentally plugged into something. Just that reaching out. Like, you think about, what do you do when a friend is low? You reach out. So that reaching out it means we are moving from within out to connect. So it's a beautiful way to think about that too. The mudra for this is my favorite one. It's lotus mudra. So it's just connecting your thumbs and your pinkies, and then the rest of the fingers make this beautiful lotus flower. And it also, you want to meditate this way. But it's nice to just sort of rest this flower anywhere, right? And that's very simple. It's foods to eat really are everything that's pure, everything organic, natural. So things without chemicals, things that come from the earth, things that come from trees in their natural and natural way. It's a really good way to honor this chakra. And that's pretty simple. It might be expensive, but
it's simple for some. It's also really unattainable for some. So I'm a big believer in the foods you eat is can be medicine. I'm a real big believer in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
feel like you can't eat crap. Crap in will just give you crap out. There's just nothing, nothing healthy about some of the stuff that we're consuming,
Right.
especially now.
Right.
So yeah, a little more
Well,
attention
and
paid to what you're putting in
right.
will get you something better that comes out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So for
I
sure.
know it has to do with not just the foods we eat, but the information that we feed in, right? So like you said, crap in, crap out. If so you think about what you're allowing in, whether it's mental, physical, foods, people, what you let in is going to affect you.
Yep.
So the way to really get into this chakra too is prayer. It's not just about meditation, but it's also about praying. And so again, it's not necessarily a religious prayer, although it can certainly be.
Yeah.
The idea that you're offering some sort of hope, wish, dream, prayer to others from yourself, again, that just it lifts your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joyful way to send out hope and love to others, right? We all pray with fear too, like, please don't let X, Y, and Z happen.
Yep.
But you can shift it to say abundantly, thank you for what I have, may that continue, versus don't take that away. Those little shifts in our verbal language can also make a difference.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
that's really interesting too, just from a whole perspective, is to shift how you say things, and make it more positive and make it more energetic and make it more abundant, instead of what you were saying, don't take it and don't and all the negative stuff that feeds your internal crap too. So just putting it on a different level is very helpful. Yep.
What I find to be true about those kinds of backdoor prayers, I can call them, like the don't do this and don't do that, don't let me get. Those are the easy routes, because that's the first thing that comes to your mind. I don't want bad things. Nobody wants bad things.
Nobody wants bad things.
But if you shift, and it takes a little more mental and it takes a little more exercise to get that paradigm shift in your vocabulary, please let. Please continue. Thank you for providing whatever. It's not so easy sometimes, but I feel like the payoff is good, because it just
okay. I'm having
to me, because I know when I make those shifts, it just hello.
Yeah, I think I've lost some of your audio. I think.
Oh no.
Say the last part again. The paradigm shifts.
Just when I make a paradigm shift with, using the positive language versus the negative, it just it feels like it works.
Yeah. This is yeah.
Let me see here.
It's getting choppy.
Yeah.
We're getting choppy here, but oh, there you are. Are you back?
It's interesting because I taught this morning elsewhere, and usually that feed's been great, and today that feed was just a challenge. Do you have enough?
I think so. Yeah, I think this is fine. This is good. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if for some reason you don't get enough, then we can do it later.
Okay.
Usually the computer I'm on to is hardwired, so maybe it's my internet connection as well.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
The internet's been overloaded since this whole thing started, so.
I know. So go we, so go the internet. We're all a little overloaded.
A little overloaded and overtaxed. Absolutely.
I hope you got enough.
Yeah, thank you so much for all. I mean, it's really, really interesting stuff, and I think this is stuff that I'm going to keep going back to and re-listening to and just reapplying and re-looking at, because it's really interesting. It's an interesting perspective on how to move things in a different direction, like all the way from grounding to all the way up here. So I think it's very cool.
It is cool. And like I said, I so appreciate the opportunity to discuss, these little, literally very small little details that present a huge array of knowledge and experiences to have with chakras, however anybody chooses to practice with them, whether it's through meditation or foods or yoga or dance or whatever, just reading about them. There's so much out there.
Yeah. Yep.
So I hope, that there's a little spark of interest provided in what we've been chatting about. It's just been really nice and fun to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. It really has been fun. I really appreciate you being around and doing this with me. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for all you're doing for this and everybody else. I know you're doing so much, so good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exhausting. Worth it.
I know. Well, take care of yourself too while you're giving to others. Don't forget that part.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Lauri. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll speak again someday soon.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Bye.
Hi. Thank you.